Um, when I first heard I was getting a sibling, I thought we were going to be adopting a full-grown child. I guess I'd watched too many World Vision videos. When Travis first appeared, I remember sitting at my grandma's house waiting for the news, and I was so happy I had a new brother. I did become upset when I learned that they named him Travis because I had a boy in my class with the same name who was mean to me. But I got over that pretty fast the moment I got to hold him in my arms. Growing up, me and Travis butt heads quite a bit. But Mom always said it was because we had similar personalities. I still don't know if it is true to this day. One thing that we did as children was watch and play a lot of video games. It was something we definitely bonded over even to this day. It wasn't always easy growing up the only girl in the family. It definitely meant action movies and video game talk. One thing that me and Travis bonded over was dogs. When we first got Kelsey, our dog, he showed his love by trapping her under laundry baskets, blankets, and in the pantry. Kelsey did forgive him when he got older and loved him with all her heart. When we got our second dog, Georgia, they both slept with him all night, even if it meant tight quarters. Travis had a special connection with animals, especially dogs. As we got older, I really appreciated the man he was becoming to be, and I feel so proud of him. I loved to sit on his bed while he was on the computer, and we would just talk. About what's happening, or he would show me the latest thing he was ordering online. We would talk about the latest movies coming out, or he would share with him the funniest thing that the dogs had done that day. I really appreciated how he would listen to me and never judge what I would say. If I had a problem, his answers would always be logical and rational and would help me see a different side of things. One of my favorite things about Travis was his persistence. He could do whatever he put his mind to and do it well. One of the latest things he was making was homemade gummy bears. He made so many batches to try to get the right consistency. He would even make a few of them sugar-free for me. One day, the two of us were home for supper, and I just wanted to order takeout and not make supper. But he was on a health kick and decided we had to make the spaghetti squash he had bought. He looked up a tutorial online, and off we went and made it. Thankfully, it turned out delicious with the homemade spaghetti sauce in the freezer. I really envied his persistence and drive to accomplish things. Another part of Travis I cherished was his giving and sharing personality. He would always share his fries and food when he came home late from work. When he bought a 3DS, he bought Animal Crossing and he would let me play it anytime I wanted. And when he played the game, whenever he came across items he thought I would like, he would drop them in front of my house in the game, so when I logged in, I'd be able to have them. He also made my last birthday very special by spending it together, where we went out for supper at Boston Pizza, and he presented me with a new DS game that I'd wanted and talked about. He also helped my mom make a sugar-free and gluten-free cake so that I could eat birthday cake. I'm going to miss Travis very much. He was one of my best friends. I'm going to miss going to movies with him and chatting throughout the movie. I'm going to miss his humor and smile and his ability to do funny accents. I'm going to miss the shopping trips we made where we always had to pick up at least one piece of candy or chocolate. Locking up the church and just chatting about the day. I'm going to miss how he would order a burger at every restaurant because he wouldn't be satisfied if he got anything else. His homemade sweet potato fries. I'm also going to miss listening to his piano playing and his ability to take up a hobby completely and enjoy it to the fullest. Bye, Travis. You're the best brother a girl could have asked for. And I can't wait to see you again and give you a big hug.
I am very honored today to be here to talk about Travis. When I was sat down to try and think about how I could convey my little brother to you guys, it was I was met with this question. I mean, Travis, he never had big career plans or money-making schemes to grow his bank account. He didn't have these big plans to change the world. He like what Alison already said, he loved what he loved. It was just the small things in life. I remember he was, for months on end, all we would hear about is this an electric heated jacket. That's all he could talk about. He had seen one online somewhere, and he researched it, and he found what the best price for the most amount of wattage that he could get out of this thing. And by the time he'd done all his research and he decided on one he would pick out, he had graduated high school and no longer needed to walk to school anymore. But that was okay. He moved on to another thing. But that was just Travis. He took so much pleasure in the little things in life. And I know myself, I get so caught up in doing the big stuff, in changing the world, in all these big things, and sometimes, Travis would have to remind me about the little things in life, like candy. And I mean, when we become adults, we sort of try to curb the habit and cut back and start counting carbs and sugars and how many miles do I have to walk if I'm going to eat the Snickers bar. And Travis wasn't like that. He just loved the little things in life. And so when I sat down to try to write something, I was kind of didn't know what to say, but I thought of Abraham Heschel was a rabbi and a Jewish theologian from the 20th century, and something he had said sort of came back to me the night before. He said, "Our goal should be to live life in radical amazement, to get up in the morning and look at the world in a way that takes nothing for granted. Everything is phenomenal. Everything is incredible. Never treat life casually." And then he said, "To be spiritual is to be amazed." And I think that's what Travis was teaching us all along. Even as a young boy, he would always be dancing or singing or he would do anything for a laugh. He was so quiet, but he never missed an opportunity to make you smile. He was the little brother that came as a bit of a surprise. June 14th, 1995. Travis accepted Jesus into his heart at an early age during story time from the Bible with Mom, and then he was promptly baptized in the bathtub by Dad before bed. Growing up, Travis's life was marked by an incredible imagination and a love for, as Allison said, games. He loved games. He loved board games. So it didn't matter what time it was. It could be 9 o'clock at night, and he would break out Monopoly and say, "Who wants to play?" And we were thinking, "Oh no, not Monopoly." But he just loved games. He didn't care about winning. He just, to him, it wasn't entertainment. It was just, he just marveled at the systems and the inner workings of games. I had to play test. He made many of his own little video games with a game making program on the computer, and I would have to sit there and click click on the guy, and there would be a bug or something would break, and then he'd have to go back to the drawing board. And he spent hours on, and I spent many hours in the pews back there with Travis, with just scrap pieces of paper that Dad would get from the recycling bin, and he would draw me little games, and we spent many a Philip sermon playing games on paper. I hope he never noticed, but that was Travis. I spent the bulk of my life from 1995 on sharing a room with Travis. Pretty much as soon as he got out of the crib, he was in my bed. And years later, we got a bunk bed, and so I had a little bit of separation from Travis, but not much. But I have so many great memories of late night talks. I remember at night he'd always want me to tell him a story, and he, of course, as soon as I would get a few words out, and then he'd be chiming in with how the story should go. So he basically told himself stories through me, but until Mom and Dad would tell us to, be quiet and go to sleep. Allison also talked on his incredible generosity. I mean, this guy never held very tightly to things in this world. He just loved to share them. I know there are some aunties who were, even recently, were just surprised. He would buy you your favorite chocolate bar because he thought of you, or it was on sale, and it was above and beyond the generosity he had. And as you could see in some of the pictures, Travis had such a soft heart towards animals. As far back as I can remember, he was drawn to any kind of animal. You'd find him with a cat in his arms, or a dog, or anyone who owned a pet and received a visit from Travis. You quickly found your pet with Travis, probably licking his face clean. Yeah, we all had just the amazing privilege to watch Travis grow up into the man he'd become. And yeah, like I said before, even though his life wasn't marked by this, incredible vision to cure diseases or change the world, I believe his life had so much to teach us. Travis, like I said, loved just the little things in life. And I think if we really understood how short our life on earth is, I think we would be more like Travis. We would be more generous with our time and with our things. We would be more mindful to save room for dessert. And we'd be more willing to look a little silly to bring a laugh to a friend. Travis didn't worry about career or school. He knew what brought him joy, and he knew what brought others joy. He spent time with his family. He, like Allison said, would spend hours finding special treats. He spent money on the things the rest of us would be cutting back on. Every Sunday at supper, we'd finish up a delicious meal by Mom, and we'd all turn to Travis and say, so what's for dessert? And of course, he had something in the freezer that he'd bought, and he was generously shared it with us. Even if it was, he'd always find like an exotic dessert in the international aisle, like something Asian that we'd never heard of before. And, we'd say, Travis, so did you like it? And, it was okay. But he never regretted trying something. I think Daniel had shared a story of Travis with the confetti cake blizzards at Dairy Queen, and it was, it looked good, but it wasn't. We tried it, and it wasn't to our liking. And of course, a few weeks later, he was back at Dairy Queen, and he couldn't remember what the confetti cake tasted like, and so they said, Travis, you didn't like it. Don't get it again. And he's like, no, I think I'll try it again. And sure enough, he didn't like it, but he never regretted that. And Travis loved his work. I mean, he at the theater, he took every shift. That was kind of the joke. If someone needed a shift taken, Travis would take it. And when he'd have to work at home before getting ready, he never grumbled. He never complained. I think he really enjoyed his time there. I would always laugh at him and sort of, just joke around because his favorite position was making popcorn. And as anyone who's worked at the theater knows, sort of popcorn is kind of the job that, you let the newbie do that job, and eventually, after you've been there for a while, you work your way up, and maybe you work in the box office, or you're an usher. You're away from the heat and the kitchen, but not Travis. He would ask to work popcorn every night, and he just loved it. And he would always bring us enormous bags after his shift, and he would bring it to his grandpa and grandma Miller, and if they had sort of finished their bag, then he'd see, do you need another one? And I know we've had a lot of popcorn sitting around, but no, he was happy to do that. And he loved making people laugh. I remember, especially in junior high, Travis was very quiet. Like at home, he wouldn't say much, but he'd play games, and we just didn't hear a lot from him. He was very quiet. And I remember one day, I think us family were driving by the church, and there was some young boys out in the front lawn, and there was a bit of a commotion going on. You could tell there was a circle of young junior high boys, and they were laughing or doing something, and we were just driving by and looking, and it was sort of like, what's going on there? And all of a sudden we look, and we see Travis hanging upside down from the tree just outside the church here in his favorite camo pants, and the other kids are just laughing, and that was Travis. He was so quiet, but when an opportunity came to entertain someone or just show us how outrageously funny he could be, he would take it. So I was thinking about all this, thinking about Travis's life and my own life and my own goals and aspirations and thinking now, Travis is and was, I think, more suited to heaven than anyone I've ever met. The love of treats, the love of sweets, the generosity, the humor and spontaneity, the incredible quickness to forgive. Travis never held a grudge for more than 30 seconds, and then it was gone. And when he loved something, he loved it beyond the focus that most people can muster. He never lost that sense of rapture at just a good thing. Something as simple and delightful as an electric heated jacket just enthralled him. I think we so quickly lose sort of that sense of wonder at the beauty of life's just simple pleasures. I can't remember who wrote about this, but I remember reading about when we see a baby endlessly entertained by the same game of peekaboo, and even the first time or whether the 100th time of peekaboo, the child is just has the same amount of joy, the same amount of just delight, and we think, wow, that child is naive. They're silly to think that joy doesn't deteriorate. But this author wrote, well, what if it's us who are naive? What if it's us who can no longer see that joy, and we become so dull and adult in our lives, in our career paths, and growing our bank account, in eating healthy and cutting carbs, and we squash our wonder to the point where we never risk looking silly. And that's when I was reminded that's when Abraham Heschel's quote comes back to us. Our goal should be to live life in radical amazement, to get up in the morning and look at the world in a way that takes nothing for granted. Everything is phenomenal. Everything is incredible. Never treat life casually. To be spiritual is to be amazed. And you just think of the pleasure of the pleasure of biting into a crunchy chocolate-covered M&M peanut, hanging from a tree with blood rushing to your head just to get a laugh out of your friend, or the fascination of a jacket that can heat you with electricity, or bringing home leftover popcorn he had made from the evening's movies to share with his friends and family. Travis never took for granted just the small pleasures of life. So friends, Travis has not abandoned us for heaven. He has not left us for heaven. I think he's been spending his last 19 years bringing an attitude of heaven, or bringing a lifestyle of heaven to us. And now with his last days spent, he points us back to the picture he's been painting all these years. Every beautiful memory that Travis gave us, we can look back and see it as the mosaic of his life. It is a picture of the goodness, the sweetness, the laughter of life, the way God always intended it, and just a taste of what life looks like in God's eternal home. I know Mom spoke with Travis recently. He's 19. He had been living at home for a year and just working, and she, not that she was trying to, she didn't have an agenda or anything, but just was curious. Travis, have you ever thought about moving out one day? And just in his very Travis way, he said, "No, I want to be around you guys." So I think it's fitting that Travis never really wanted to move out of his house, and so it's fitting that he's only moved back to his original home. I think Travis's transition into God's home was very easy. I hardly suspect he was jet-lagged even for a moment. No, I think he's been helping us transition here.
On Wednesday afternoon, I walked into my living room and I turned on a worship song. The Lord impressed on my mind the verse from 1 Thessalonians 4:13 that says, "Brothers, we do not want you to be ignorant about those who fall asleep, or to grieve like the rest of men who have no hope." And then in my mind's eye, I saw a picture as if a pair of curtains were parting in the heavens, and I saw Travis standing with Jesus right at his side. And he had a huge, radiant smile on his face, and his whole body was just filled with amazing joy. And he was just radiant. And as I looked, he was waving frantically like this. And he said, "Look who I'm with." He shouted out. And as he said, "Look who I'm with. Look, it's Jesus," he had tears, just happy tears springing off of his cheeks. And he said, "Don't cry for me and what I'm missing. This is worth it all. It's wonderful here. I'm healed and made whole. My soul overflows with an unending joy. I love you and hold you in my heart here. Thank you for all you've done for me. I lift up a sacrifice of praise to the Son for all you've done for me. My heart is filled with the most perfect love because I am in the presence of the one who loved us first. There are beautiful worlds to discover and wild adventure ahead. Discovering the full presence of God is my adventure, the grand adventure. Taste and see that the Lord is good." And when Travis had finished saying that, Jesus turned and he said, "Be encouraged. I am holding Travis in the palm of my hand. His joy has been made complete. All of Travis's sadness, questions, and darkness have passed away. Any kind of regret you may feel about what you should have done or said differently is covered by my grace and my blood. I have overcome the world."
My name's Irene Miller, and I'm Travis's aunt. Connie is my sister. And my favorite memory of Travis was a Christmas when he was about 4 or 5 years old. And my daughter, who's related, loves candy too, made a beautiful gingerbread house for him. And he was so excited, he had no words. He hopped on a chair, stood in front of the gingerbread house, started twirling his ears and sticking them in, and we just all sat there and watched him because it was just so neat to see how excited he was about Christmas and candy, and it's the highlight of our evening that day, because that's what I remember about that Christmas day.
When Travis was small and Danny, they used to be together all the time. They had a lot of fun because they knew I couldn't see, and then they teased me. They'd run around, pinch me, and they had lots of fun as kids. They knew I couldn't see. And we had trouble when he learned how to drive bicycle. We had a lot of trouble with him. He just didn't learn how to drive. And I think Connie and me, one time he drove into a shrub there, and I think he was frustrated, but it didn't take long. He was back, trying again, and he made it. Just a week before this happened, he was at our place, and he asked me, "Grandpa, do you need some more popcorn?" I said, "No, I won't need any for a while. I still have quite a bit." And that's the last time I seen him and talked to him. And I didn't even give him a hug because I thought he had food in front of him,
Connie and Dave went to Winnipeg one day, and Connie asked me if he could come for lunch because he was in school. And I said, sure. And I knew he liked the macaroni and cheese. So I made macaroni and cheese when he came. Then he says, "I like your macaroni better than Mom's, but don't tell her." And then a couple of weeks ago, I had a dream. A little boy came running up from downstairs, and he stood in the doorway, and he says, "I'm going home." And he was so happy. And I just stood by the phone there, and I just smiled at him. I didn't know which home he meant, but he was just so happy and had such a smile on, had a toque on, but I didn't know who he was. But I knew I loved that boy.
Hi, I'm Audrey. I'm Travis's aunt, and a story that's dear to my heart is this last summer we were having a garage sale at Grace's house. Travis pulls up, and he's carrying a container of cupcakes from Walmart. I hadn't seen him for such a long time. You know how teenagers can be. They're not around all the time. Something out of me just got up and gave him a big hug, and I just said, "Travis, I haven't seen you for so long." And he just smiles, and I gave him a hug, and I said, "Oh, did you bring me cupcakes?" He says, "Oh, yeah, here. He's gonna give me all his cupcakes." I said, "No, Travis, I'm just kidding." I'm so glad I gave him that hug. It was like, oh, should I or shouldn't I? But, I really felt, and now, that hug is just so dear to me. Puts a big smile on my heart. We love you, Travis.
Hi, I'm Anna Hoth. I am Travis's auntie. I'm his sweet tooth auntie, I'll call myself. And Travis I just have such good memories of his smile and traveling with him and visiting with him. And he always had candy to share. And the last time I remember, he left some in the kitchen at Orlando and Grace's house. And I knew he left it there for me. So I went and I had to say, I got some of that candy. And he's just smiled. I just want to say how all my kids, Jolene and Jacqueline and Janessa and Jameson and Juliana, how they loved their cousin Travis. And thank you for sharing just all those special memories with us. We love you, Travis.
Hi, I'm Travis's cousin Missy. I want to tell a story about one time when we were at Daniel's house. A bunch of us cousins were swinging on this big tire swing, and it's really high, and then there's a big pull on top that keeps it, I guess, steady or whatever, balanced. And so we're all taking turns on this big swing, and then it comes up to Travis's turn, and he's swinging, he goes back and forth, and he lands right in the middle, and the thing on top unhooks or whatever, and then it hits the big wood, conks him right on the head. And it was just so funny because Travis's reaction was just so priceless. And he stands up and he's good to go and he wants to go right back on again. And it was just a wonderful memory that we all have of him.
I'm Louise Foltz, and I'm a family friend of Connie and Dave's and the Sukkau family. And I have also taught Travis at Winkler Elementary in grade 8. I would like to share with you some background information about the name Candyman. I have been told that I was the one who gave him the name. No matter what the occasion, Travis loved candy, and no matter what we were doing or what we were celebrating, there always had to be candy involved. He would always ask, "Is there candy?" or "What kind of candy are we going to have?" That was the most important part for him. And even if you gave him a Christmas present, he was far more concerned with the candy on the outside of the package than he was on what was on the inside. You could just see the look on his face, the anticipation. Will there be candy involved? His eyes and his smile, you knew that just everything was right with the world. And when he got that look on his face, it just reminded me of the lines from the song Sammy Davis many, many years ago sang, "The Candyman." And it goes, 2 lines go, the Candyman can, 'cause he mixes it with love and makes the world taste good. The world tastes good 'cause the Candyman thinks it should. With his love and his smiles and gentleness and laughter, it was a very fitting song for Travis. Thanks for making our world taste good, Travis. I know that you're up in heaven now, smiling and giggling, and surrounded by unimaginable amount of and variety of candy.
So we're all Travis's cousins, and I think one of our fondest memories is playing in the park until sundown. I mean, on the around, what is that called? The merry-go-round. That was his favorite. He was the only one that would never get sick, and he could go on that for hours. And I'll be like, "Travis, let's slow down." He'd be like, "No, speed up. Get Jameson. Go faster and faster." And I think that was awesome. Grounders, we always were at the park till sundown, so.
Us cousins, every time we're all together, we play a lot of games and break out in a lot of laughter. And somehow when Travis is there, we play this one game called Pictionary Telephone probably every time we're together. And whenever Travis has to read his stack of papers, it's always the funniest because he brings out so much, I don't know, he has a way of saying things that just makes everybody laugh. Sorry.
We love you, Travis.
We love you, Travis.
So a few months ago, Travis was always asking us to go to the bowling alley. And so one day, all of our cousins went to the bowling alley, and we thought, well, I guess Travis likes bowling a lot now. But we got there, and in about half an hour into bowling, he turns on, like, there's a jukebox that you can change the music on in the bowling alley, and you have to pay money to do it. But on his phone, he found an app that you can do it for free. So he changed everyone was enjoying the music. It was lots of country music. Everyone's loving it. And Travis changes the song to "Angels We Have Heard on High." And everybody just stops and doesn't me and Travis are just laughing so hard because everyone's really enjoying their music, and we just changed it to "Angels We Have Heard on High."
I remember a while back, there was this app on the computer. It was called Prank Dial, and you could send people these prank calls. There'd be a recording in there, and there was this one that we sent to his house, and Uncle Dave answered it, and it was this guy was like, "Why did you kick my dog?" and we remember Uncle Dave he's saying, "What? You come to my yard and you kick my dog?" And me and Travis were just laughing because we could just hear Uncle Dave arguing with this recording on the phone. And yeah, that was a good memory.
So I always went to a lot of movies. Once Travis started working at the theater, probably went to way more. And we'd always send a group message, who wants to go to a movie and which movie do you want to go to? And quite often it would get to the point where we had seen all the movies in the theater. And every time we'd go, I don't know whether he forgot or just did it to bug us, but we always told him we didn't want Coke and we didn't want Kit Kat bites. But every time we would go, he would always get us Coke and Kit Kat bites. So, I don't know. It's gonna miss going to movies with him.
My name is Joan Redekop. I am Connie's sister and Travis's auntie. I remember how much Travis loved games and candy. As a preschooler, he was gifted in drawing, and he also had quite the imagination. Connie and I would see these gifts in action when we would go out for our many breakfasts at Smitty's. Travis created many games during these times. A favorite was finding a tiny object hidden within a picture that he himself had drawn. He was so delighted if we couldn't find that object. We talked about this being the last year he could join us for breakfast because he would soon be attending school. All too quickly, that last breakfast and game day came. We had to let him go. He was taking that all-important next step, kindergarten. Once again, we find ourselves having to let go of him as he takes that next step. We will miss him so very much, but we know we will see him again in heaven.
Travis was a special person. He was beautiful inside and out. I stand amazed that God would choose me to be his mother, to have the privilege to carry him under my heart for 8 months because he was 1 month early, and in my arms for 19 years and 130 days. Travis was a shining example of having the ability to bridle his tongue. If he got angry, it would last for a brief moment, and grudges were never held. If I would use a quote to describe Travis, I think it would be the one from the movie Bambi, where Bambi's mother says, "If you can't say something nice, don't say nothing at all." This came by so naturally for Travis. Travis's actions spoke just as eloquently as his few chosen words. His actions were marked, full of love, generosity, joy, and kindness. Travis, you lived your life well, and I'm proud of you. One thing that has given me such peace is I would go into his room this past year several times, and I remember going in there and praying, and I would say, "God, release the destiny that you have for Travis. Let not one of his days be stolen, and may every plan and purpose that you have for him, God, be fulfilled." And so when this happened, I had perfect peace in my heart. Every day that Travis was to live was lived, and it was lived to the fullness. And now he's just got another assignment in heaven. I am eternally grateful to my Heavenly Father for blessing me with Travis Dillon Sukkau. I will profoundly miss him. However, I know Jesus will be with me and everyone else to bring healing to that gaping hole in our hearts due to the absence of Travis. Thank you, Travis, for touching our lives by your beautiful life. You will not be forgotten.
This on? Is guitar on? Yeah. So I was asked to just pick a couple of songs, and I'll do two short ones for you. But I was thinking about this one yesterday, and I thought, well, you can't do this one. And then I got a call from, or a message from Grace saying that Connie had been thinking about it. So it seems like it's the right one to do. As we hope in the Lord, we will gain our strength. We will run 4 miles. We will stand up straight. We will not grow weary. We will not grow faint. On the wings of an eagle we will rise. And as we hope in the Lord, we will gain our strength. We will run 4 miles. We will stand up straight. We will not grow weary. We will not grow faint. On the wings of an eagle we will rise. On the wings of an eagle we will rise. On the wings of an eagle we will rise. For our hope is found in the power of God. On the wings of an eagle we will rise. On the wings of an eagle we will rise. Na 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 na. 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 For the Lord who is God calls his people home, not to be afraid as we journey the road. Hand in hand we'll be walking with the Lord our God. On the wings of an eagle we will rise. On the wings of an eagle we will rise. On the wings of an eagle we will rise. For our hope is found in the power of God. On the wings of an eagle we will rise. On the wings of an eagle we will rise. Na 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 na. 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 On the wings of an eagle we will rise. On the wings of an eagle we will rise. For our hope is found in the power of God. On the wings of an eagle we will rise. On the wings of an eagle we will rise. On the wings of an eagle we will rise. On the wings of an eagle we will rise. We will rise. Okay, one more quick. So this one wouldn't leave me all the way driving down here, so I think this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm on my way on a long, long journey, and I don't know where the road ends. I'm on my way on a long, long journey. Surprises await me just round the bend. Take my hand and walk beside me. The road is long and brief the rest. Take my hand and walk beside me. The answer to this riddle is a quest. The riddle says finding leads to losing, and losing lets you find. Living leads to dying, but life leaves death behind. Losing leads to finding, that's all that I can say. And no one will find life any other way. Take my hand and walk beside me. The road is long and brief the rest. Take my hand and walk beside me. The answer to this riddle is a quest. The riddle says finding leads to losing. Losing lets you find. Living leads to dying, but life leaves death behind. Losing leads to finding, that's all that I can say. No one will find life any other way. No one will find life any other way.
I want to share a poem I wrote about a week after Travis went missing. The first night Travis was missing, I picked a trail which would take 3 hours to complete. It talks about what was happening in my heart the first night I went looking for him. It's called The First Night Was the Last Night. The first night we searched for him, I could feel in my spirit that he was gone. I could feel in my spirit that he wasn't there. The lonely, long, lonely trail that I chose to follow to find him by myself that evening turned to darkness. And the light that I carried was of little help, but to guide my own way now. And the words that I heard were, "Stop looking." Yes, I was the one who was lost now. I was the one who had to be found. I was the one who needed to be carried through the heavy brush of loneliness and despair. At every turn that I took in the darkness, I heard him laughing, and I saw his smiling face. He was laughing and smiling, laughing and smiling. For over 3 hours, he was trying to tell me something, but it would take me more than a week to figure that out, and to figure out what he was trying to say. I knew he was gone, but why was he laughing and smiling? He was in heaven. He was trying to tell me he was in heaven, where he was indeed, laughing and smiling. I lay down in the deep grass and brush several times to rest and weep during my search, which now reminded me of Psalm 139, verse 8. If I make my bed in hell, you are there. Or another translation offers, if I lay down with the dead, there you are. That night I lay down in the valley of death, but God was there. Travis was gone, but God was there. And he will be there to carry me all the days of my life. And one day, he will come for me also, and carry me through the valley of death and take me home, to meet my son again. I want to share a poem I wrote about a week after Travis went missing. The first night Travis was missing, I picked a trail which would take 3 hours to complete. It talks about what was happening in my heart the first night I went looking for him. It's called The First Night Was the Last Night. The first night we searched for him, I could feel in my spirit that he was gone. I could feel in my spirit that he wasn't there. The lonely, long, lonely trail that I chose to follow to find him by myself that evening turned to darkness. And the light that I carried was of little help, but to guide my own way now. And the words that I heard were, "Stop looking." Yes, I was the one who was lost now. I was the one who had to be found. I was the one who needed to be carried through the heavy brush of loneliness and despair. At every turn that I took in the darkness, I heard him laughing, and I saw his smiling face. He was laughing and smiling, laughing and smiling. For over 3 hours, he was trying to tell me something, but it would take me more than a week to figure that out and to figure out what he was trying to say. I knew he was gone, but why was he laughing and smiling? He was in heaven. He was trying to tell me he was in heaven, where he was indeed, laughing and smiling. I lay down in the deep grass and brush several times to rest and weep during my search, which now reminded me of Psalm 139, verse 8. If I make my bed in hell, you are there. Or another translation offers, if I lay down with the dead, there you are. That night I lay down in the valley of death, but God was there. Travis was gone, but God was there. And he will be there to carry me all the days of my life. And one day, he will come for me also and carry me through the valley of death and take me home, to take me home to meet my son again.
Corey, God speaks to you in pictures. Well, that's the mode he uses with me, is speaking in pictures. And this morning, I felt the Lord wanted me to share the 3 pictures he'd given me throughout the past week. The first one came after Travis's body had been found. I saw Travis standing in front of what looked like a brick wall, and each section of the brick had this warm glow to it. I saw Travis looking at this wall, and I could tell he was just blown away. And in my spirit, I knew that this wall was called a memorial wall. And the reason why he was blown away, because that's where all the prayers that I prayed through his entire life was stored. On Saturday, I just felt like the Lord said, you need to take a rest, you need to take a break. So I went and lay down for a little while. I couldn't sleep. But then, obviously, God wanted to speak to me again. I saw another picture. This time I saw Travis and Jesus, and they were walking together through a wooded trail, and the leaves were just beginning to turn those fall colors. I saw Jesus, I'm just going to use my son as an example, going like this to him. You know, kind of messing up the hair. Sorry, Travis, Stephen. Messing up the hair, and Travis just had this huge, big smile. And it wasn't like a soft rub, like it was one of these hard ones. And they were just both laughing about it. And then I just saw them walk away. And it just reminded me of how Stephen and Travis would bug each other and, you know, pinch each other and give those head, what do you call them? Noogie, yeah. So I just figured how fitting. And the night before the burial, after preparing my thoughts of what I would share about Travis, I hadn't slept all night, so I lay back in bed just anticipating, like now I could finally get some sleep that had just not been coming all night. Instead, once again, God lovingly gave me a picture. This time I saw like a certificate, you know, the kind you get at graduation. And at the bottom of the right-hand corner was like a blue ribbon, and you know that wax, and then you know how they put a seal into that that melted wax? And I saw that seal sitting at the bottom of the certificate. And across the certificate, it said Travis Dillon Sukkau. And then on top in big letters was, it said, Award of Excellence. Needless to say, these pictures have brought me such comfort.
We never got to say goodbye to Travis, but in little messages and pictures from heaven these last couple of days, we know Travis loved us, and he would have loved to given us each a special goodbye. We know that Travis is watching from heaven today. We know that he is happy, and he can't wait to meet us at the gate when our time comes. But until then, we'd love it if you guys could stand and join us. And we're going to say goodbye for now, Travis, and just give him a wave. As a way of letting him know we miss him, we love him, and to let him know that we're going to be okay. So, yeah, just join me now. Goodbye for now, Travis.
Love ya. Another thing, while you're standing, I also want to ask you if you would join us and give God a hand clap for how he used Travis in life and in death, and the fruit that will be produced from this tragic accident for the kingdom of God. So if you just join with me to give God a hand clap. And before we leave, we want to share a song that was sent to the family that really comforted us when we were going through this very difficult journey. And the name of the song was called I'm Not Alone by Carrie Job. And as we were listening to this song, we felt like it was just so applicable to what we were going through, and how the first verse just spoke as if God was speaking to Travis. And the other verses following are speaking to us who are all left behind. So we just wanted to share this with you as a little final farewell.